Naples with David Platt, guru of software. David is in Naples for a keynote speech in Microsoft Imaging Cup. What is, according to you, the future of software? Like the deployment of software and for the user?
The future of software for the user, I've been thinking about that. We're always going to need to put software, to put the results of software, to put data in front of a human user. That last half meter is a distance we're always going to have to travel, whether the back end is on a desktop PC, or it's in the phone, or it's on somebody else's phone, or the data is on a web server somewhere, or if it's in the cloud. No matter where the data comes from, it always has to travel that last half meter from the surface into the user's eyes. And that's something that we're always going to have to deal with, no matter where the data comes from, no matter where it originates. So there's some serious work there that we're really going to have to do. I was thinking about, one of the guys here just put the idea in my head this morning, just a couple hours ago, that, Italy has all this wonderful design talent, design all kinds of really nice things, design clothing, furniture, cars, art, all kinds of wonderful design things. And boy, wouldn't it be a fabulous idea if we could somehow or other harness that talent and bring it to computer interfaces? The guy just put that idea in my head 2 or 3 hours ago. I'm pondering it, but man, that's got a lot of potential,
What is the future of open source software? Open source is the trend of last years.
I myself do not see open source going anywhere. I really don't. 2 reasons mostly. Number one, it's just takes too much expensive, scarce talent to build software to the level of quality that it needs to be at today to make it usable. Open source 10 years ago or so, the level of quality expected from software was a lot lower then than it is now. To make things as secure as they need to be, as robust as they need to be, anybody that can do these things as well as they need to be done, who can reach this standard of care, if you will, can charge a hell of a lot of money for that skill, and would be foolish if they gave away their talent for free. I really don't see it happening. So there's that economic argument. The other argument that I see is and this is the premise behind why software sucks, really, is because the developers who build the software do not understand that their users are not like themselves. That what pleases the developers will not please their users. Very, very few people in the world have the expertise to open up the threading package and fiddle with it without breaking it. More to the point, the kinds of people who build Linux are the kinds of people that like to use Linux, but the kinds of people that use other software such as Windows, such as Apple, are very, very different kinds of people, and there are a whole lot fewer of them. And so I really do not see a future at all.
In Italy, CIO is focused on governance.
Yes,
and not development of new software, innovative software.
Well, yeah, you always have that now at a company. In the U.S., other places too, you have the CIO, who's kind of the Chief Information Officer, who is concerned with keeping the email going and what are we going to use for our word processors and things like that. Then you have the CTO, the Chief Technical Officer, who tends to be in charge of developing new programs and things of this nature. And yes, the CIO is there, and the CIO is in charge of the software that gets used in the company, and the CTO is the one in charge of the technology that the company builds. Yeah, the CIO is usually involved in governance, and most other places too.
Can you speak about your last book?
My book, yes, Why Software Sucks. Here's the Italian version of it. It was translated, I wrote it in English, it was translated into Italian, Korean, I've got a Russian edition, 2 flavors of Chinese, I think, traditional and simplified. And again, this was a really easy book to write. I just took all the frustrations, all the pain that built up over the years from using bad software, and I just poured it out into this. Here, Antonio, I'll even autograph this to you. I was going to autograph it beforehand, but he said, no, you can't give out damaged goods. See, so
thank you.
Yeah. So. I said some things that I hope needed to be said, and this is more of a wake-up call. You know what it is? To tell developers and their victims, their users, that to try and convince them, sort of like that, hey, guess what? A problem exists, that there is a real problem, that software is not as good as it needs to be, does not reach the level of quality that it needs to reach, is not as usable as it needs to be, to convince them that a problem does exist. It's kind of like an intervention that one does for an alcoholic in denial, something where you got to get them to admit to themselves. That is the first word, or the very first word, of the very first step to recovery is admit. Admit that we are powerless over alcohol. Admit that our software really does suck. And that is what the book is about, to be the wake-up call, to say, guess what? We are not doing the job as well as it needs to be done. We need to get a whole lot better quickly. Sure.
For you, is more difficult to develop software or to explain the other people, not IT, the software?
There are a whole lot fewer software developers than there are end-user trainers. So I guess I would have to say that it's harder to write software. On the other hand, if the software is written very well, then it's easy to use. A classic example is Google is really easy to use. I have a backup program called Carbonite. There's another one called Mosey. And these are very, very, very easy to use. And I know they were damn difficult to write, because I've talked to some of the guys who've done it. But they're really, really, really easy to use. And that's how they should be. And in fact, we have a saying like that in the industry. The more work the developer does, the less work the user has to do. And we sum it up with the phrase, easy is hard. It is very, very difficult to write a program that is easy for the user to use. But that's what we need to do.
What do you think about the run of software? Now we have more and more and more software any day, but we don't use it.
Yeah, you see that problem in Office. You see it a lot. Microsoft has been trying to solve that problem for 10 or 15 years now, and they still haven't. And the problem of so many features that the user can't find them. That's what made them move from the menu back in Office 2003 and 2004 and made them move to the new ribbon control structure that is in 2007, because they found that the feature requests that they were getting from their users, lots and lots of the users were saying, we need this feature, we need that feature. Well, guess what? Those features were already in the program. In fact, they'd been in the program for years, and the users just couldn't find the darn things. And that's what Microsoft has been trying to solve that problem. That's what Clippy was about back in 97, was it, when they first brought him in, was to try and teach people how to use all of the features that were already there. So, the problem is not putting in more features. The problem is we already have 20 kilos in a 5-kilo bag. The problem is making the features that we do have accessible to the users who want them, discoverable so they know what we have, and then usable so they know how to get those things that we have. That is the major challenge in software today. Not more features, but rather making them more usable.
Thank you, David.
Thanks for having me, Antonio. Pleasure.